Hello. While we're waiting for people to show up, we can try to figure out why the eye tracker stopped running. Oh, there we go. We just had to maybe unplug it. Yeah. How are things going, people? How are things going? Python packaging ecosystem. Yeah. Anytime someone says ecosystem these days, I kind of get hives. And then when you say package manager, I also kind of get hives. So if you say both of those together, it's just a recipe for a real bad situation. Yeah, it's been a while since a programming stream. I thought it would be a good idea to do one today. Any questions before we get started and get serious? Questions. Programming related questions, not random questions. Programming related questions. Hello. No questions. Oh, you have an interview with it again. We'll see how that goes. I had one with Riot on Monday. All right. Those are interesting places to be interviewing, for sure. Much better than like Zynga or some crap. Both of those companies actually make real games, so you think you remember us saying that this compiler might not depend on the C library? Is that still planned? Yes, that is still planned. Right now, I can probably tell you most or all of the things that we're relying on libc for right now. We still use it for malloc and free, which we can resolve by providing an allocator Like we could provide a precompiled JEmalloc or something like that. And that's actually better because then if you use an allocator, you know what it's going to behave like, and it'll behave the same on every operating system, as opposed to right now in C or C++, when your allocator on Windows is like totally different from your one on Linux and whatever, right? So, so that's one of the major ones. The math functions we're using from libc or libm, right? But that probably depends on the C runtime for initialization, for all I know. So, you know, sine, cosine, tangent, all that stuff. I imagine there's some open source thing that we can precompile so as not to depend on libc there. And then the other one is printf and scanf. We're using scanf for just float to, or string to float and, you know, string to double, which we have a replacement for that we haven't substituted. And also, you know, printf for float to string. And I actually wrote a float to string that's better than most of Microsoft's versions. We just haven't put that in. I'm trying to make that better though. Maybe we'll have a stream about that sometime. So those are the major things. And, you know, all of those dependencies are pretty much all going to go away. And we are doing our best not to add new dependencies. So yes, in principle, we will be libc clean by the time we are done. Do I have any advice on handling entities? Do I use components or something else? I use something else. My advice on handling entities is that almost everything that you will read about that on the internet is too complicated. It's not a hard problem. What you need entities for is to do what your game needs to do. And that's probably an easier job than you think it is if you make a big deal out of it, right? So I've said this before because it's a common question, but you know, we shipped Braid, we shipped The Witness. They're games that have sold millions of copies. Very successful, critically acclaimed games with complex gameplay. The entity system is a too deep single inheritance hierarchy with no components. That's it. It's just structs. It's just a base entity struct with one subclass per entity type. That's it. You don't need more than that. Have I tried VS Code as a C++ debugger? Wait, VS Code is an editor, isn't it? Why would I use an editor as a debugger? What would it take to do a speaker session about game design in Sweden for students? We could talk about it. Usually when I do that kind of thing, it's just based around like, do I feel like traveling and kind of having a vacation at that time, and does it fit into my schedule and stuff? And so if we could work out a time when that would be good, then I could do that. I'm not sure about coming to Sweden like in November, December, January. That seems like the wrong time to visit Sweden, but maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't remember. I've been to Sweden one time. I don't remember what time of year it was, but it was pretty warm, actually. This was in Uppsala, or however you pronounce that. So it was a little bit north. Not like real north, but a little bit north. It wasn't Malmo, you know. I thought you used STB sprintf for float to string. Oh, maybe we do now. Yeah, I don't remember. Dude, I don't remember. So that might be one less dependency, yeah. Or maybe we never integrated stbsprintf. Is it here in the folder? It is here. That doesn't necessarily mean that we are actively using it. In fact, well, I don't know. I don't really know. The source for this Sokoban game will be mostly released, yes. Just not, you know, it won't be released before the game is released, and the game's not going to be done for a while. Is it just you, or does the Witness look similar to Fortnite in graphic style? I don't think they're very similar. I mean, I a little bit know what you're saying, but I don't think the games are very similar. Let's do some work. Do I have any thoughts about the latest thing, the wine fork? I mean, it's yet another place that's going to play games buggy. I don't know. I'm not that excited about it. But if Valve is going to get their act together this time and do a real Linux push this time, that would be good. Because I think it would be great to make Linux usable for games. But they sort of started doing that the last 2 times and then gave up when it became hard, because nobody at Valve ever gets, like, you know, people at Valve just move around to whatever project is going to get them the biggest bonuses. So if things start looking hard, everybody jumps on to the thing that that's most appealing. So it's just not a good company structure for working on hard problems that also don't appear lucrative at the time. So yeah, I don't know. Dude, I would go nuts at Valve, and I know plenty of people who quit that company for reasons having to do with the company structure or lack thereof. All that said, maybe they will do it this time, but I am not holding my breath. Okay, I want to start doing some work in the direction of the next compiler demo, which is going to be about library functionality. I don't really want to spoiler what the rest of that demo is going to be, but there's some foundational work that I can do today. So right now, all of our libraries are in one folder. It's this modules folder. Let me delete some of these garbage Emacs files. And it's just kind of this messy folder with a bunch of stuff in it right now. And so a lot of these libraries fit in one file. So like print is one file and so forth. But other ones are many files. So like the mixer, for example, this is the audio mixer. Maybe we'll rename it audio mixer or sound player or something. This is like a base thing, and then, you know, it'll grab this and then one of these, depending on which operating system you're in. And really, you would like to have all of this compartmentalized in its own subfolder along with maybe some other things. Maybe there's a few sound effects and a test program that plays those sound effects, right? And so you would like to have all of that together in one place. And right now our structure doesn't really make that very easy. So that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to make that work. But we don't want to require you to make a subfolder for a simple library, so it'll still work if your library is just one file in this top level. But for stuff like the audio mixer, we're going to do the following. We're going to make a folder. I'm going to call it sound player because it's just a less generic name than mixer. Mixer could be mixing paint. You don't know what it's mixing. And then the question is, what is the file inside called? We could call it main. The problem is, because it's the main for the library, the problem is very bad debuggers might get confused by that, and people's editors, like if you're switching buffers quickly in an editor, you might want to have a different name. We don't want to have to name it the same name as the subfolder because that makes it annoying to rename the folders. You want to make it easy to rename the folders or to have multiple copies, whatever. So whatever this thing is called, I mean, we could call it libmain. We can call it library. Oh, you know what? All this is in source control, so let me redo this. I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call this sound player. And then can I do like svn move on these with the UI? No. Let me see if I can do it from the command line. What? Path modules M? It's not under version control. See, this is why I hate, like, this is totally an open source tool error message. Like, I have no idea why it's trying that path. It doesn't make any sense. And there's literally no way for me to figure out what the hell is going on there. Okay. I'll use / just in case that's confusing it. Nope, same problem. All right. I'll do it by hand. Can I do this? Yes. Good thing there's only 4 files. All right. Hey now, don't be calling people nasty names in the chat. That's not good. Okay. So now if I try to build Sokoban, it's gonna complain that no such thing exists. Okay, let's go back here. We've done our source control aware moves. So what the hell do I call this file? Libmain library. I don't know. Whatever we call it, there's going to be a lot of them anyway, because there'll be one per library. So maybe we call it main. Except if you wanted to have a test program in here, maybe you should call the test program main because it has main in it. I don't know. These are the hard problems in programming. A new extension, I don't think that's a bad idea or I don't think that's a good idea because that'll confuse, like everyone's editor and whatever has to be aware of 2 extensions instead of 1. It's not helpful. Well, how about calling it I just want to call it main. But that it doesn't seem right. And calling it library, so I don't know if we should call this libraries. Like I called this folder modules way back there because you don't want to confuse it. Like if you go to C and C++ programmers and you say library, they're thinking of a pre-compiled, .a or .lib file, which is not what these are. And so I'm calling them modules just to, maybe there's a better name than modules that somebody could suggest, but just to keep that terminology clear. So I wouldn't call it library, I'd call it module. We could call it module main. That's self-descriptive. It's a long name, but packages reminds me too much of all those bad languages with crappy package managers. Although it might be fine. Rust goes with mod.rs. Yeah. Asset means something different to game developers, so I wouldn't want to use that word either. We can rename this later. Okay, so we're going to call that module. And now module here is going to load files. Right now, if you go to it, it does import of these other things, but those are not going to be found anymore, first of all. And oh, there's more stuff. Right, cache decoder is part of this. Yeah. Okay. These are not gonna work anymore because import should be to import another totally separate module. And now all these come in this same package. So these are going to be probably load, I guess, just like you would load a file out of your own package in your own program, right? And we're going to lowercase these. Because they don't have to be. These are like do we say? I guess we put the extension here. So yeah, let's do that. I mean, we'll probably have load not require the extension because it does look cleaner, but okay. So that is how this is gonna work. And we'll rename all these files, and then we'll actually make it work, right? These are still imports because these are like totally other modules. Okay. Got to SVN, rename it. SVN, rename it. SVN, rename it. SVN, rename it. Okay. There we go. Am I allowed to use SVN in San Francisco? Thankfully, I am. Why are some function names uppercase like new, for example? I don't know. In the case of new, it's a little bit, it's a procedure, but it requires the type to be known at compile time. So, I mean, it's not a macro, but it's a little bit in that direction. I don't know, just these conventions aren't really established yet. Okay. Well, so I'm going to import sound player. Oh, we don't import cache decoder ourselves. All right. So we are unable to open this for reading. Because the compiler is looking for this and not a folder. So now we start doing the actual real work that's not just sitting here renaming files. Okay. We have this module's path string. Oh, that's not where that is. Okay. If it's an import directive, we do this. We do this. Okay. So we add stuff to this array called waiting. And then we spin that out in jobs where we say parse one file. Come on. Okay. So we have the load directive here. Load file. All right. Wait, what? Okay. Okay, we've already decided, let's just, wait. We've already decided what the file name is by the time we get there. Where do we do that? Oh. Let's just make a breakpoint here. Old breakpoints. Wait, what? Thought I made a... Okay. So the name is going to be preload probably, yeah. So let's skip that one. Yeah, so we just get, this is good, we still get the name of the module. Now, here, this whole thing is goofy because we have this loop that does a path, but I guess we said it earlier. Let's not worry about where that's set right now. Let's reduce the dimensionality of what we're thinking about. So we get this path. We go through everything in the path. Now, we want to do two things. We want to search for a file here, which we can do just the way that we're doing. Otherwise, yeah, it's stupid. We pass this path array, but we assume it's only one long right now. It's fine. We don't need to clean that up right now because we don't know which way to clean it up. So we'll say down here, we'll say if we didn't get that file, then we do something else. If it's an import and we didn't find a file, not a fail, check for a folder. Robustness. Do we want to warn if there exists both a file and a folder by the same name? I don't know. Okay. So, well, I guess we're gonna return anyway. So whatever. If do I have? I thought I have a thing that tells me whether a folder exists. Maybe I don't. Maybe that's in the language. Let me see. File exists. I don't know what access does in Unix. All right. If directory exists at dir name, then f equals f open module name rt. That's some cut and paste programming. Okay, so what is module main name and what is dir name? Well, dir name is dir name is the folder, which I guess is known to have a slash because we're just putting the name. It's just this without the extension. Okay. So if that exists, what did we call it? Module. Not module name. Module main name. Okay. So that's all good. I mean, I'm sure I screwed up several things because I'm not in a very sharp mood today, but, you know, and we'll clean up this cut and paste later. You know, we'll probably call out to something that does all this, or who knows. We're just getting this going for now. Oh yeah, we need OS directory exists I did an overzealous replace. All right. So we need OS directory exists. And, well, let's look at, because I want to write something that specifically only tells me if there's a directory there. So file attribute constants. Directory. So we just check the return value of this on Windows and make sure it returns directory. And then once that compiles, we will attempt a Linux version, even though we're not able to test it right now. So we need a How am I using this? Because Windows has this horrible situation. I'm not using it at all? What? Like, there's not even an implementation of that. So I guess we never put it in. How are we... Oh my God, we're calling A functions here? Oh my God. Let's put this in the to-do. Compiler of Windows A routines. That is very bad. Okay, do we use to multibyte? Okay, we're just calling this directly. Why is this? Why are we get full path naming A and then multibyte to wide? That's dumb. That is so dumb. Why aren't we just get full path name W? Maybe that was an incremental. Okay. Whoops. Okay. We'll just call multibyte to wide char for now. What does this return? Like what is the memory? Oh, there's a pre-allocated buffer. Right. This is totally not, wait. Yeah, okay, whatever. Whatever, that needs to be better. We're gonna, once we finish what we're doing now, we'll go back and clean this up today. For now, though, we're gonna use this. We're going to say that this can be improved in speed and memory use. And we're going to say auto len is stir len of S. Okay. multibyte to wide char. Why are we passing len plus 2? Oh, because of a 0. Terminating 0. Okay, what's the input? The input is going to be... Why is it the... All right. Wait, what? I remember having something weird. CCH. Size in characters of the buffer. If the value is 0, returns the required buffer size in characters. We don't want to do that. We're just over allocating. No, because we, okay, len plus 2. Wait. This is wrong. What am I? Oh my God, this is so wrong. This is supposed to be times 2. You can tell this hasn't been... Hasn't been tested enough. Okay. So we do this. We say get file attributes W of WC. And let's go back to those. What is invalid attributes? For all I know, that's -1, which is all the flags being set. It is. Oh my God. All right. So we have to check it. That's so bad. And then I guess you check for equals. I guess they're not. Wait, are these flags? I guess these are flags. Yeah. It's so bad to have this be -1 when these are flags. Okay. What the hell? Where do I define my things? Where is this? Oh, we just put those in general. Okay. All right. So now, the thing that should happen, assuming that all this is correct, which who knows what the odds of that are, we should be able to load the top level module file, but then it'll try to load the other files, and those will be using the application path for loads, and it won't be able to find them. But that'll be a good problem to have. Unable to open file sound player. Oh, because we built the debug compiler and ran the release compiler. Let's run the debug. Same problem. All right. Maybe our OS directory exists fails. Okay. So we stop here. Not there anymore. Okay, dir name. Dir name. Sound player, that's great. Does it exist? Yes. Okay. Module main name. Ah, we didn't pass enough arguments here. And it's not a frickin' hard error. It's probably a warning that just scrolled by with everything else. What the hell just happened there? Well, it's building. Oh, that works because loads look in your current path as well. We may have to clean that up at some point. But they do. They look in the current path of the file executing the load. So that already works. That's great, people. Like, let's see if any other programs use the old module name. That was easier than I thought. Are there actual limitations when calling A versions of Win32? I thought it was just a UTF-8 version. No, it is not. If only it were a UTF-8 version, we would be fine. It is an ANSI version, and it doesn't understand Unicode. So if you get people with like foreign characters in their names and stuff, those routines are not going to work right. Yeah, Merindon in chat said, isn't module main name missing the argument to mprintf? Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's run tests. Okay. Oh, this is just a test that loads a bunch of modules. And those modules no longer exist. Okay, invaders. Oh, whoops. That's what I wanted to do. Let's get more scroll back here. Okay, before we fix all of these, let's make a better error message for this, because, you know, this is assuming that it's not an import. Yeah. Okay. So let's go there. So if load flags, if it's an import, we'll give one error message. Otherwise, we'll give this other one. Unable to find a module called whatever. no directory. No. Do people say folder or directory or what? Like, I don't. No folder exists named whatever, and no file exists named whatever. Okay, and well, CNAME and the folder name and the actually, that's the third one. And the folder name would have been dir name. Load is import, undeclared identifier. Really? Load flag import. I'm a little bit inconsistent about naming those things. Okay, so we're going to run these tests again, and they're going to fail again. And unable to find a module called mixer. No folder exists named whatever, and no file exists named whatever. Great. That is a much more helpful error message, isn't it? Okay, so now let's fix that. So chess needs where was this one? Snake. That's what happens when you rename a library and you don't do, whoops, some of the other features we're going to do later. Yeah, exactly. Test failed successfully. Okay. Examples audio. Okay, that's great. Before we check this in, we need to do our attempt at the Linux version of the thing. So OS directory exists. I kind of don't like the duplicated code. This is bad. It's bad, bad, bad. we're just gonna so we've got that, and then all that is the same. Okay, that was up to there. Okay, the link command by default is going to be different on Mac OS, that's for sure. This is going to be the same. This is the same. OS read entire file. I could imagine that being different eventually. Is it the same now? It looks the same. Yeah, you know, I'm all in favor of doing a little bit of copy and paste to get things going, but I always think it's important to clean it up, and I think the younger people on the team are not that, don't take it as seriously. It's a bad thing to let this kind of code duplication just run away. You really don't want it. Like, these files are almost exactly the same. Okay, that's a little different now all of a sudden. Oh, wait, maybe it's not. Okay, hold on. Okay, that must be a Linux specific thing. But then this is the same. It's like, what? Yeah, this just shouldn't be how it is. I mean, these look the same. Are they the same? I don't know. Yeah. Probably. Okay, this is probably different. Maybe not. Maybe it's, well, the folders are different. Time is not. Okay, this is going to be different. OS get operating path. is this implementation different? Makes me nervous, but okay. Okay, well, we just deleted like 180 lines of source code. That was duplicated, hopefully duplicated between two files. So that's great. Okay. So why were we doing this? Oh, so we could do OS directory exists. So what is access? You've used the A-Win32 functions with Unicode strings. It worked fine on your system. Is it locale dependent? Maybe. In what cases does it break? We had problems in the witness with a small number of people. Maybe it was all people from China. I don't know. Where if their usernames had Chinese characters, then we weren't able to properly get the save path. Like that just didn't work. You know, we were using the roaming app data standard folder thing, I think. It just, you know, something failed there. All right. So I don't know what access does. That access. Check users' permissions for a file. That is not going to tell us what we need. I mean, should we use fstat? Or no, stat. We want to use stat. How do I know what the hell it is? It's been so long since I've done this in Unix, right? Is dir. Okay. If s is dir, st mode. Okay. Types, stat, and unistd. so we don't have, we have stat and unistd. I'm going to assume that's fine. Okay. Wait, do we call stat here? No. Okay, so we have a struct stat, and we're going to say return value if result is not equal to 0, return false. We don't care what the return value is or what the error no is. Dude, this thing uses error no. That's how old and crappy this procedure is. It uses error no. Jesus. Okay. I mean, I guess, does a lot of stuff on Unix still use error no? That's so bad. Okay. This is fine. We can't test that right now anyway, so we'll just let other people deal with the fallout if it isn't right. Access returns enoent if any of the path component don't exist. Right, but like you could have a file with the same name as the directory, and I want to know if it's a directory, but it's there as a file. You know what I'm saying? So we can't just check if the path exists. We have to check whether it resolves to an actual directory. Okay. Well, I guess we check that in, and then we'll go doing this to a bunch of folders, I guess. Modules can now this is the standard way that things should go. Renamed mixer module to sound player, and what else did we do? Oh, factored out some specific code because I was afraid of the massive amount of copy paste. Probably broke some things. Sorry. Okay. Now I'm going to warm up some hot tea, and then we'll rename some more modules, and then we'll go maybe attack the A functions in the compiler. We did that, if you'll recall, on a previous stream, we did that actually through all the modules that we're shipping with the language, but apparently we haven't done it in the compiler itself yet, which we should do. All right. Any questions about what we're doing so far here? Any questions? Please keep it on programming topics for now. All right. What are we working on today? Compiler things, specifically making library handling better and just cleaning up some stuff. There's still a lot to clean up in the compiler, and so we'll be doing a little bit of that today as well. Yeah, UTF-16 is terrible. Yeah, we thought that it would work. Like all our test cases worked fine for the A functions. It's just when you ship a game and hundreds of thousands or, you know, millions of people play it, then You test some cases outside of your regular cases, and we were having things fail. Oh, I think they only started failing on a particular version of Windows too, if I remember correctly. I don't know. But yeah, the problem with Windows is, multi-byte or their wide characters is 16 bits is not enough to include all the characters in all the human languages anyway. So you need code pages, and then once you have code pages, you haven't solved the problem because a string can't represent an arbitrary string anymore. So it's stupid. Like, they should just change to UTF-8. So much damage would have never happened if Windows had picked UTF-8 to begin with. Okay, questions. Aim questions at me, and we'll answer them once the tea warms up. UTF-16 doesn't have code pages, is also a multi-byte encoding. No, I mean, Windows has stuff where you set the code page. I don't know. Maybe the issue is that Windows isn't UTF-16, right? Maybe Windows multi-byte characters are not UTF-16, they're something else. I don't know. Yeah. I just don't, it's all such a mess that my policy is everything is UTF-8 internally to all my programs because that's the only thing that makes sense. And then if a particular API needs something else, then we call that specific API's routines. You notice you didn't make any note that the OS path exists for Linux and Mac. Haven't been tested. Any reason for that? The reason is that there are other people who work on this stuff daily, and everything is going to fail if that doesn't work. And they will know in the morning tomorrow, and they will see my check-in. So it's like that whole, if that routine doesn't work, then that whole library loading will not succeed. Or if it fails the other way and says that all folders exist, then any other libraries, it will detect folders for them. So yeah. Yeah, it is not the greatest way to start someone's morning, but I mean, I'm just not running a Linux and a Mac machine right now, which is what you would need to do to make that happen. Where does load search for files? Just from the current directory of the file doing the loading. That's it. What about a text buffer you edit? Wouldn't you want to use UTF-32 so that you can treat it as an array you can insert into, etc.? Possibly. We have one of those in, we have like a text input widget in our game that we use for the console and stuff. That is UTF-8 right now, and I just say UTF-8 forward and back. Would it be better as UTF-32? I don't know. Maybe. If I wrote an entire editor, I might do it as UTF-32. I'm not sure. Okay, let me get the tea started. More questions, address them to me. The water is still going. If you swap character, it's obviously a pain with UTF-8. And that's true. Yeah, swapping characters would be a pain in the butt, but I mean, inserting characters is already a pain in the butt. So, no matter what. So, I'm not sure that it's that different. Maybe it would be. Put the reasons for why a side taskbar is better in the FAQ on your Twitch page. Yeah, I'm obviously down with the side taskbar. You're a little unclear on how folders and modules interact. Does a folder automatically determine module scope, or is it defined some other way? I'm not sure what you mean by does a folder automatically determine module scope. I don't know how Python works, so you're going to have to explain to me more what you're asking. Oops. So many of these are what is this basic.a? Are we actually using that? Okay, I don't think we are. So I don't know why that's there. We're going to make basic. This is not the programming language basic, but all right, we get to move things one by one again because God only knows. Ugh. Okay. Basic. So we're going to name this to Linux going to be Windows OS X. And then this one, wait, what was our thing? Was it module main? Was it? It was just called module. I hope I... Yeah. I used the right rename on all those. Okay, so that's great. And let's go into basic. Okay. Unable to open. Oh, right, because we put this for now. Windows input is importing basic underscore Windows. I don't think we should do that directly. All right, Sokoban builds and runs. Okay. I'm just going to do these one at a time and check them in one at a time. Just so that we can revert one check in if I do anything bad. I gotta email Ignacio because he made this game subfolder, and like I don't think that's the right way to do it. Like I don't think anything. So he made game and like, because this is rendering and stuff. But like, I don't think font should be in game. I think the way that we draw things is just not, we just have to figure out how to disentangle. Like we need to be able to get font and then say, well, render the font using whatever GL library we have. And we need to have the discussion of how to do that. Okay. Well, what is I think D3D compiler. This probably should go in its own, but I'm not very familiar with it. File should definitely go in its own. Whoops. File. It's like I might as well do the full rename. Do we not have a file? I guess file macOS just loads file Linux docs. And then file utilities is actually a separate thing. That's not the file library. Okay. Well, yeah, file. Let's go there and say load Windows. Okay. All right. Well, so soon we're going to subdirectoryize something that has binaries like free type, and I think that won't work initially because we won't find it correctly. Like maybe mgui. I don't know if one of our tests actually does mgui, probably, but free type, I know we use. Oh no, maybe we don't use free type. Maybe I use STB. What? Okay, we do use free type, 255. So let's just do that. Oh, no, let's do an easier one. Let's do STB image, because that's got some precompiled things. There's also STB image resize, but we're going to keep that a separate library. So this is, now we're using the subfolder, oops, for a slightly different purpose. Like now, no. Okay. So now this is just like other stuff that comes along with it. And I'm even going to say, I'm going to say source, right? Because this CPP source is not even required. So we could put it a little bit out of the way, but you probably maybe want it. Okay. All right. Whoops. Okay, so we've got the original C++ source here. We've got some binary libraries that you need to link against. And then we've got our thing, which is just, the stubs. Like if you look at this, it's like, well, here's the procedures that we're even calling, which is not even all of STB image, but so that's fine. It's probably not going to work. Yeah. And the reason is, I think we only look for library loads in the modules folder. So, and the question is, well, it's fine. It's fine. We'll just adapt this in the straightforward way where foreign library means in the same folder, the same way as if you're loading source code. Oh, we got an answer to the Python question. For example, in Python, you can create a folder, say called module, and put a special file called init.py inside. Then from outside that folder, you can call any code you put in that folder with import module myfile.py. I don't understand. Like, how is that different from including files from a folder? Like, I don't get it. Okay. Okay. Well, ffi.cpp. Now let's just go there here. Dynamic library load OS resolve library path. I don't remember if this directive that we pass here has enough information. Like, this needs to know its own path, right? So this came from this load directive for the preload, and it has the path and all that. So we can get the existing path from the load info. Is it conceivable that there might be 2 or more libraries in a folder? I don't like the idea of magic file names. I understand you not wanting extensions. Well, I mean, I don't. Why do you want more than one library in a folder? What does that do for you? Which is not to say that you don't want that. It's just that so far I don't see the need for it. And in fact, I see more clarity if that can't happen. Because then when you go to look at what the libraries are, they're not hidden. You just think it gives you flexibility to load only certain functions you want with, say, import module my function instead of the whole file. You could also just load the whole folder with import module. I think we're going to provide some ways of doing that. Like, I agree that that's maybe an important thing. The way that I envision that is potentially different, although maybe, maybe the things that I'm thinking of won't cover that entire case. And then we'll want to do what you're talking about in some way. But I'm not going to worry about it yet because I want to get the basic, we haven't shipped to anybody yet, so we can change all this stuff anytime that we want. And so, unless I have a very strong reason to do something, I prefer to just keep it simple and see how it goes. And then we can make decisions based on experience as opposed to just arbitrary. Anyway. So we go to OS resolve library path. What is that doing? Okay, so by default, we look in modules. Oh my God, we use find first file A. So bad. All right. We're going to at least scrub some of these later tonight. Ba-dum ba-dum bum bum. Ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum. Yeah, so we're just going to pass this directive to OS resolve library path. And I think we will try to just use the current folder of that directive and we'll just see how many problems that causes. All right. Where does this live? Okay. So hopefully this knows what a foreign library directive is. And then, whoops. Oh, yuck. Okay. What is the type of this? Oh, those are directive foreign library. Okay. So that's good. We can pass it. It. Okay. So we're still not actually using that. So we're still going to fail. There we go. I guess we're importing STB image 3 times or something. Something is happening. I'm going to put that on the list to investigate because you never know. Are we importing STB image 3 times? Question mark. Okay. Probably won't get to that tonight, but it's on the list. All right, so now see what happens there. Path is not a... Oh, it's the load directive. Load info. All right. What? I just changed that. Oh, the argument is going from size t to int. Yeah, it's okay. Potential overflows. It's fine. All right. So maybe that'll work. Maybe it won't work. Maybe it'll fail on a different library. Did the same thing. Okay. MSVCRT. Oh. Wait, what? Okay, we don't. Okay. clib name is stv image. Okay. That's not right. Oh, because I also... Wait. Fully pathed file name. See, now that we can have folders or whatnot, the meaning of these variables changes. It changes. So maybe we should cut the slash off fully pathed file name and use that. Maybe. It's a little confusing. So this load directive is loading the STB image module. Do we want this path to be the path where the thing was found, or the path where future people should search? It's a good question. It's a good question. Dude, I hate this so much, this red. Why is it red underlining all this crap? Like, you're just bothering me with information that is not correct, Microsoft people who think you're really smart. Like, what does it have to say? How do I even, I don't know. I don't know what its problem is. I don't know why everyone at Microsoft isn't just fired at this point. Click on the right light bulb after right-clicking. What does that have to do with, like, red underline means it's wrong. Am I debugging a program? No, we're working on the compiler, and we're changing the way that library handling or module handling works in the compiler. You think I have to just hover? Long hover. Oh, long hover is a thing. It's not changing. Look, these things are not wrong. So, oh, press Alt Enter. Nothing is happening. You have to restart. That's a bug. That's the first answer that I believe, because I know these things aren't wrong. Such a garbage. Oh my God. Such a garbage. Okay. So this is one of those things where things can get confusing. Like, if I want this to mean, well, I'm just going to use this for now, and I'm going to write a long comment explaining why I used it. But first, I'm also going to make sure that that is set for everybody, because it may not be for the preload. Oh, it is. Okay. Okay, so we're going to do that, and then we're going to explain. I hope no check-in still works. It might not since we moved servers. Okay. Well, what was it called? Fully. Wait, is that? It's our string, not their string. Okay. It's just I want to use stir archar, so we're just gonna go here. Well, I sure hope that's right. Okay, so is that actually correct? What is stir archar return? Yeah. Okay. Stir archar. Wait, no, we don't want the end, we want the beginning. We want the beginning. Okay. So actually, let's just do this. Oh no, because we need the C version anyway. All right. If S I don't know why I bother doing the character 0. Okay. Okay, so we do that. Full path is search path. Something like that. Oh. Dot count. Well, that's probably work. Oh, nope. Dsound. That should say foreign system library though. So that's actually an error. I think. The difference between foreign library and foreign system library is foreign library is something that you're shipping with the code, and foreign system library is something that has to be installed on the system separately from you. Right, we don't ship dsound. Let's do a release build because it takes so long. At some point, we might do a little thing where we investigate why the debug compiler takes so long. There's probably just too many asserts and too many loops, and some of them need to get removed or something. Hey, okay. All right, well, that was good. We totally broke the Unix version. Let me write on a piece of paper. Unix OS resolve library path. I have to explain my thing here. Okay. we are using fully paths file name here to figure out where to look for the foreign library, because the load directives path will, in the case that this is a module, be the path to the modules folder, not the subfolder where modules like module is located. This may cause confusion, and maybe we should fix it so that okay, so for now, we do that. And then, all right, let's, resolve library path. So for sure, we need to do this. I'm just going to email this to them to fix, because this is not correct. Well, yeah. I'm not in the mood to do this right now. Because there's this ambiguity of like, oh, maybe it's in the system path, but no, you shouldn't. You should be using foreign system library for that. I'm just going to do it, okay? That you ship copies of, and therefore you know exactly where the file is. Okay, so Where's our library paths? Do we have that here? No. Okay. What the hell? Like, whoever, what is going on here? Oh, add two. Oh, God. This may just be old. This compiler add library search directory. Let's see. I think this was somebody else added this and didn't know what I had in mind for libraries telepathically. They just didn't read my mind. I don't know why. Okay. So So we're going to factor that out so we can use it, and we're going to make an OS specific common, and we're going to do that. What a great expansion of files. Okay. Erg. Because we have to free this later. A lame. Okay. Okay, so let's add that. Let's delete some of these old files. Look at all these junky files. Add that. Let's include it here. Let's include it here. And cannot open include file OS specific common. It's right there. Is that not how this works? OS. It's right there. There's a file. OS specific common. Oh God, because this is being included by the other file. It's one folder up. So let's do it here. Problems with include. That. Okay. Now we've done a bunch of things. I mean, that still should work fine. So let's run the program. Hey, okay. Now, what was that even? This is so bad. Like, this is not frickin' thread safe and whatever. I need to SVN blame somebody on that. Let's just see. Yeah, it's Josh in 3974. So I'm not sure. Yeah. It probably seemed like the sane thing to do at the time, but let's yeah, I guess we need it for now. We're still using Sub-Zero. if we do not reinstate multiple paths, this whole. Okay. The whole reason we were just doing this is so we could call this thing from the Linux version what the hell is file name? But that's just if we want to append the lib whatever. Dude, this is horrible. This is not. What if it's called adlib? I'm going to explain in part why people need to rewrite this. I didn't write this, just letting you know. I know that all the libs start with lib, but what this is doing is saying if the substring, oh, actually it's not a substring. It's if the first 3 characters is lib. I still don't think that's really a good idea. Like, I think it should just be, I don't know, man. I think you should name it what it's frickin' called. Like calling something lib whatever, I think we should kill that. I think that's stupid. Do my employees ever watch the stream? I don't know. Sometimes. I mean, Abner's on here sometimes. Like just having this ambiguity, it's not a good ambiguity. Like what if there's a library that originated on Windows and it's called Libertarian Party whatever. And then you make the Linux version and it erroneously doesn't append the word lib when it needs to. Like, it's just not something, this is not what we want in our code. We want to be more solid than that. That's all I'm saying. All right, so wait, the search path has a slash? Yeah. Okay, so like I said, we can't test that. Same thing. lib whatever dot dylib. Oh geez. Okay. Okay. Okay, so then here we do this. Because if you try to pass a null pointer to printf, I mean, mprintf we control, so I guess we could substitute that, but eh. Okay. Run tests. Defer is ugly C++ macro that lets you defer. Okay. Okay. Well, we just want to go and finish up what we were doing here. So all of that complication that we just did happened because STB image ships, you know, some binary files. Well, now that we've taken care of that, that should let us take care of all these other things. So STB image resize and STB image write. Oh, I had those. Whoops. Come out. Come out. Why do we only have one lib and DLL here. These guys running this on Linux must have this like installed somewhere. Bad. Like, this is not okay. They need to check this stuff in. And then, I guess, I mean, maybe I'll make a source folder here, just like I did for the other one. Didn't work. How stupid are you? All right. I don't understand that. Okay. All right, well, we're getting these from the right place. That's all good. Put more STV image libs into that folders. Okay. Well, the GL thing I want to get figured out. So TC Malloc, I don't know who's using that. SDL, oh, STB Sprintf, STB Vorbis, we should do. Sometimes this is just what you do. Okay. Oh, we don't, yeah, we're not even using, we don't have a file for sprintf yet. So yeah, we're not using it yet. Foreign library stb sprintf in print. Well, if that's in print, I don't think that's how we should do it. I think we should provide this separately. So okay. So we are using stb sprintf. Okay. Uh-oh. Time to ban someone. Okay. That might be close to everything that we want to do tonight. Like, I got to send a big email to my team talking about what I just did and what the fallout of that is going to be, especially on Linux, where they don't seem to want to let you frickin' dynamically have precompiled libraries. Linux is bananas. Yeah. The C standard does not define null as 0 lately, or before. It might define it that way lately, but if you go far enough back in time, it wasn't defined as 0 because there were some computers that had 0-page memory that you wanted to access, like the VAX, right? I mean, maybe eventually they said this is too complicated, we're going to define it as 0, but yeah. Well, the thing is, I mean, if we can't, so I'm not going to let Linux drag this language down into mediocrity. So we have to figure out a way to ship libraries as binary on Linux or invoke the compiler in order to build them when you install these. I don't exactly know, but yeah, it's a disaster. Do I have any thoughts on the concept of software engineering is taught in schools? I was under the impression that it is not useful, e.g. UML diagrams, user stories, agile scrum teams. Well, first of all, it depends on how good the school is, right? Like when I went to UC Berkeley back in the day, they definitely taught useful software engineering, all right? That said, it was still kind of wrong. Because the people teaching in school are not the people who've programmed the most. That's just how that is. So they don't necessarily have the best advice. But they have advice that's better than nothing. It's better than doing random things and hoping they're good. There are, however, lots of bad schools. Like any school that teaches you UML diagrams needs to get shot out of a cannon. It's a waste of your time and effort to go there. So I don't know. It all depends. That's all I can say. Maybe just worry about Windows for now. No, because I mean we're keeping everything simultaneously running on Windows, Mac, and Linux. So we have to figure out how to make this work on Linux and maybe Mac. I don't know if Mac has the same problem with not being able to pre-build binaries. Yeah, we'll see. Thoughts on Mike Acton Unity's new parallel first approach to gameplay code? Do I think people are going to adopt it? I don't know enough about it. I don't know anything about Unity people and how they are. So, I mean, I think it's a good idea to have that. Mike's a smart guy and knows how to make code go fast. I, however, have nagging doubts that you will ever really be able to make Unity go fast in the end, because there's a thing sort of like Amdahl's law where you just get dominated by the most slow code. And so what this does is it removes basic entity operations from the path of things that'll make you go slow. But as soon as you call anything that makes you go slow, you're going to go slow. So, you know, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if they can do it. But yeah, I don't keep up with Unity. I used Unity once for a week in 2013. So, and it's probably pretty different now from when I used it. So I don't know. Let's do free type. We don't even have a free type 2.8 yet. Okay. let's get it all here. Ay, ay, ay. How did I not do that? Did I remember it on this one? Nope. Nope. Whoops. Sorry. Okay. Free type. That's probably enough for now. I can tell people to migrate their own libraries into subfolders. Oh, window creation we should do. And input. Because those are common to a lot. Yeah. All right. What did we just say? Input and window creation. Window creation. Whoops. Okay. Hey. While that's going, let's be optimistic. Making input folder. And input. And then we have Windows input and probably Linux input. I don't know. That's one reason to do this, is to clean up them naming conventions. Let's see. Input. Uh-oh. We did this one backwards. This is probably before we had OS Windows, so. All right. Did our other test succeed? Yes. So here, we're going to be all like, okay, and then X11 input. Okay. So probably programs are specifically including the input that they need right now. This is not how we want to do it, probably. Okay. Yeah. So let's go to, probably a lot of programs are, oh, maybe window creation is including those? Window creation does it. Okay. Who knows what's going on now? Hey, all right. Probably someone will fail, yeah. Oh, test standard modules. It's just not a module anymore. Waka waka waka. Waka 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 waka. Okay. That might be it for today's stream. That was a lot of renaming and less programming, but you know, we've opened the way for more programming. We've got some code cleanup that we need to do. We need to go replace some A functions. We need to maybe replace some other things that are not that good. Do we require that the entrance point of every module be module dot whatever? Well, I just did this today. So as of today, the answer is yes. I mean, yeah. We, of course, can add ways that that's not true. But since I just typed it in today, yes, that's how it is. Do you want to write your OpenGL code with texture compression, Atlas mapping sounds, 100 plus things that it does better than you could? Better than you could is very arguable. Very arguable. Do I plan on doing any more self-help lecture discussions? Well, I did that one because I had a specific thing to talk about. If I end up having another specific thing to talk about, then maybe, but that one came up from you know, during HandmadeCon, I was asked a specific question, and I gave an answer at that time that I didn't think was thorough enough to be useful. And so, you know, the goal of that talk was just to expand on that answer from HandmadeCon in a more useful way. I don't have a lot of things like that right now because, frankly, that one topic of that one video is very powerful, and you don't need a lot more than that if you get down to it. But, you know, if something comes up, then maybe. Oh, you got here halfway through the stream. Yeah, well, I literally made that happen during this stream. So if you're wondering about it, you could go back. Have I checked out C Debug? Nope, I haven't yet. It might not be a good fit for the community, I guess. It's not really about being a good fit for the community or not. It's what useful information do I feel like I have to share? And I felt like that was a really useful thing to share. But again, if I were to make more videos, I would kind of be saying the same thing over and over in slightly different ways, maybe. And, or there's another direction it could go, but it's not totally the right thing right now. How much more work before it's demo ready? You mean for the library demo? I mean, I haven't done the actual features that I want to demo yet. This has been some groundwork toward those. But yeah, we're not totally there yet. How do I feel about Celeste? I played it. I didn't play it super far. It didn't grab me that much. The controls were really annoying. I didn't like the friends of mine tell me it's a pretty interesting game, but I didn't get far enough for it to get interesting. So, and the part that I played I felt not as interesting as it should have been for how much material they had to work with. But again, that's an early prejudgment on the game, and I planned to go back and keep playing it, and I never did. So maybe I will keep playing it at some point. See, Debug is a graphical debugger, Visual Studio debugger replacement done by a person in the handmade network. Okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't seen it. All right, any final programming questions? The thing about Celeste was it was too many buttons to do what they were doing. And it hurt my hands for some reason to try and use, I don't know why. I wanted to just grab onto ledges or grab onto walls by holding toward the wall, like in Super Meat Boy or something. And they made it an extra button, and I don't know. I just didn't like it. When's the next big feature demo? When it is done, which I don't know when that is, but this work that we did today is directly in line with being able to go do that. So, who knows, but we're getting there. Relative includes question mark. I don't know what that means. Can you elaborate on what the question is? Maybe you're just not good at using controller. Well, I play all sorts of other controller-based games that are fine, so I don't know where you get that from. Does game networking interest me at all? My first professional game was a client-server-based drop-in, drop-out networked game. So, sure. Will I be making additional libraries and engines, some other related thing? I will probably be working on program visualization. And frankly, we won't be done with the compiler for a long time, because even after the basic version is out, there's making the language semantics better, making the compiler faster, making it optimize better so we don't have to fall back on LLVM for optimization. That's a lot of work when you add it all together. No, the one with the server simulating the physics was a different game. Oh, well, actually that one did have the server simulating the physics also. So maybe I was talking about that. I don't know. Are you going through a coding program? No teachers, peer-to-peer learning. Curriculum goes like this. Re-implement everything, printf, A to I, for statement, ls, etc. Does that sound like a good methodology? It sounds pretty good to me, frankly. Printf is not easy if you're going to support everything. So, yeah, that sounds fine. You'll know some things when you're done with that. Does import support relative paths? No. Load supports relative paths. Import is a different thing. And we're going to explain why later. And maybe it should. Maybe you should be able to import a sub-library out of a library. I don't know. We'll deal with that later if it becomes required. But this is not really a path. This is a library name. It's a little different. Whereas here, the reason you have an extension here and not here is because this really is a path, and this isn't a path right now. Coding visualizer, cool program. Oh, this doesn't look like at the right level of detail of. I mean, it's a little bit cool that you could see what's happening. The problem with this, let me drag it over so you can see what I'm saying. So I followed this coding visualizer link. The problem with this kind of thing, and it's not really a problem, but from a usefulness standpoint, this is not the right level of detail. Like, if you run this on a 100,000 line program or a 1,000,000 line program, it's just total spam. Like, you need, and this is not that much telling me things that I want to know. Oh yeah, I guess it's a little bit, I guess these arcs are control flow between different parts of the program or something, but yeah, I mean, it's fun as a little experiment, but this is not the kind of thing I'm talking about. Let me put it that way. Is import still straight conclusion of string into file, or has it been reworked for modules? Import was never straight inclusion of string into file. That is never how that worked. This is not a color theme on Emacs. This is some colors that I typed into my .emacs file. It's so weird that Emacs is supposed to be about like, hey, you can hack it yourself. And then everybody asks me what my color theme is. Like, isn't the whole point of Emacs, I mean, it's not very good at this by modern standards, maybe by 1980s standards, but isn't the whole point of it that you're supposed to go hack it yourself? So I just don't get it. I don't get why the default question is, what's my color? I didn't even know there were color themes for Emacs. Are you people kidding? Are there more metaprogramming features beyond struct parameters? Yeah, there are lots. You can watch the YouTube videos. We have hours of demos of metaprogramming features. Yeah, I want to do more programming streams soon. It's good to do them. I'm glad we're here doing them. And we will do more soon. Yeah, no, there are lots of videos on YouTube on different aspects of metaprogramming. Lots. Try polymorphic procedures is the C++ template version of metaprogramming, but the other kind is look at the ones about runtime and compile time type information, and code browsing and code modification. Those are a different level of metaprogramming that C++ doesn't even have. And then polymorphic procedures is the equivalent of, template functions. Tips on a healthy programming lifestyle. I don't know. I don't know that I have anything useful to say there. Thoughts on neural nets in games? I think you're going to see a lot of usage of neural network in games in the near future. Yeah, none of those streams are called metaprogramming, so if you're looking specifically for the word metaprogramming, you wouldn't find it in that playlist, but that's just because we try to make the videos have names that are as specific as possible. But yeah, that might result in you missing what they're about. What's the progress on the doc Q&A site? Well, Abner's been doing that, and I'm given to understand that it's pretty far along, but I haven't looked lately. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming by. Am I excited for the new NVIDIA ray tracing hardware? In the long term, maybe. Like in the short term, it's like a first generation thing that's not really useful for games in the way that you would wish. But maybe in the long term it will be. Let's find someone to host. Aren't neural nets going to be super costly in games? They're huge and hard to optimize. Well, they're slow to train, but you don't want to train them in the game. You want to pre-train it, and then you just run the neural network in the game, which actually is probably really fast. Yeah, you don't want to train the neural network during the game. Okay, is anyone actually programming? Making a game in C++. Oh, it's that guy. We already hosted him before. So we could host him again. How was that? Was this guy talkative? Was anyone there on that stream when we hosted him? Was he good at explaining what he was doing? There's someone Korean with a spreadsheet. Making a DOS game playable from Twitch chat. That could be weird. I'm not a big fan of the Twitch chat game thing because just so many people are doing that. But we could do that one. That would be different enough. Can you parallelize neural nets very well? Yes. If you're talking about just running them on inputs, then yes, they're pretty parallelizable. Yeah, Galapagos used training neural networks as the object of the game. That was a terrible game and it didn't really work. I played it back in the day. It was not a good game. All right, DOS guy. Oh, Descent-like game, is that here? Where is that? Modern web browser, I'm searching for Descent-like game. Oh, there we go. It's in UE4 though. That could be fun. All right, let's host this guy. And I'll see you later. Hopefully we'll do another stream soon. Bye, everybody.